What started as an imaginary assistant and grew into an alter ego named Sloane is now So Sloane, a platform to curate real advice over algorithms, built to help you lead the life you want across entrepreneurship, relationships, navigating realities, and perseverance. The right advice doesn't get you back on track, it leads you to the best path because everyone needs a friend who is just so Sloane. Today, on one of the very first episodes of the So Sloane podcast, we have Marie and Matt from Maison Louis Marie. I've been a huge fan of your fragrance line for many years. I was even just telling you guys before I joined, I still have one of my first fragrances. It's now my toothbrush holder. I love the clean, the natural angle, as well as sustainability and the brand. This podcast, we love to really dive into building brands, but also focus on the resiliency behind scaling and getting that brand to the next level. So before we dive on in, I'd love to know, how did you get started? What is the origin story? What were you doing before the brand? And what was the impetus to launch a clean fragrance line?
So I'm Marie. I'm the founder of Maison Louis Marie and the creative director. I'm going to start and then Matt can follow. I moved to Los Angeles in 2006. I was working in fashion in Paris for magazines or the London Sunday Times, Isabella Blow, and I got really run down with fashion, with the schedule. So I moved to Los Angeles in 2000. I decided I wanted to change totally what I was doing. So I started doing photography and painting and printmaking. I wanted to make something more fulfilling. And I was always making candles for Christmas, for gifts for my friends. And they just were like, they kept asking for more and more. So I decided to launch Maison Louis Marie. It's a mix of, it's a DNA of my family and a mix of myself. I dig into history and I blended both to create Maison Louis Marie. And I launched with 6 candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, based on memories of my childhood. And I did everything myself. I didn't have any funding, so I did the website myself. I did the shipping myself. I was very lucky because Matt's sister has a store in Venice, Los
Mm.
Angeles, and she decided to carry the candles. And that's how it was kind of like a snowball effect because a lot of people who have stores go into stores and then they saw the brand and little by little I got into stores and more stores and then I thought I was never going to sell my first stock, and within 2 months it was sold out. So it was I think what was very important is that I wanted to make some candles who were like accessible. I would always buy a diptych candle or a cire Tredon candle who's what, $60, $90. And then you're
Mhm.
scared to burn it because it was so expensive. So I was like, I just make it like you can buy two for the price of a diptych and you're not scared to burn them.
That's a really good point. I
Because
mean, I
you,
remember running into it was Brook Rod in Ocean Park area in Santa Monica, and I walked in, and I always trust whatever she sells. And when I saw your candles for the first time, I remember looking at the bottom, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't that." It was $39, right? And I thought, "This is amazing," and it smelled divine. And so it was like instantly. Not only did I get it for myself, but I got a few saying, "I have a bunch of birthdays coming up. This is the ultimate gift." So I think that's such a strategic strategy, is going into those boutiques, but that attainable luxury price point.
yes. And then also the thing I really wanted to do is I wanted something very clean and simple because you bought all these candles and there's all these labels, these boxes with all these. It's so white, simple. It calms you down. So I wanted the brand to be very simple too. So yeah. And then Matt, I was dating Matt at the time and he was working in fashion. And I always remember thinking he had amazing work ethics and he should work with me. He's like, I'm not doing this. Finally, around 2016, it was growing fast and I really needed help. I never really studied business. So Matt joined and I always said, you can be the boss. I don't need to be the boss. I just want to like, yeah. And so that's how he came in, but I'm going to let him speak for himself.
It's like the yin and the
Yeah,
yang.
yeah, yin and yang. I grew up in LA. I was in fashion, although kind of on the manufacturing end. So I was making clothes for a lot of existing brands, Marc Jacobs, Alexander Wang, Helmut Lang. Then when Marie met me, I had a really small company just kind of running around doing production all day, and really created a good kind of like base to kind of like jump into Maison Louis Marie. We have such compatible kind of like skill sets. Marie has like wonderful taste and design skills and just creating beautiful products. From the beginning, it was kind of all Marie, just doing everything. As creative as she is, she's also if she sets out to do something, she figures it out. And at the beginning, it was really cool because yeah, we had the one door, but then it kind of slowly grew. And he just wanted to create, or Marie just wanted to create a really beautiful kind of fragrance brand without any plans on how to kind of build it. And I think we've just slow and methodically kind of built our brand in the way that we to, expand. And
Also, it's because a lot of customers ask for products. I remember I only had candles, and then one day I got an email, a customer asking me, "Why don't you make I really number three? Why don't you make perfume oils?" What are perfume oils? What is she talking about? And then I made my research, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay. In Europe, we didn't really have those, but I'll just figure it out." And then we launched the perfume oil.
And so roughly what year was this when you started the brand and as you
In
started to grow?
2000, it was in 2013 for
Okay.
Valentine's. And then I think the oils were in 2015, maybe 1 or 2 years later, or 1 year. Um, and it really took off. People loved it. And then they asked for EDPs, and then they asked for soaps, and then they asked for body lotions. So little by little, I was like, okay. It's funny because when I launched like the brand, I read a marketing book who basically told me to do everything on my own, not to spend money. And like, if you sell something, it means it's working. It's already amazing. So I really listen to the customer because to me it's so important because they are the one who are buying. But if they want that, I'm gonna make it because they're interested. So each time we launch something, it's because they asked for it, so it worked. The only thing who didn't really work is I did some. I was obsessed about doing some skincare for the face, and we did some oil for the face. That it was too not the same. It's not no perfume, so it didn't last long though.
Took that experiment too, and it's sometimes your intuition might say, "Let's try this, let's do it," and if it works, it doesn't. It's so much better than not doing something at all, and that could be your number 1 success product, or maybe that gets you to the
Yes,
next.
it's so fun to be creative. Like I live for that. Like I love to like create and make your imagination work. So that's how it grew, and then Matt came along, and then we got into bigger stores and bigger accounts. And as of today, we still have no investors. And it's
Okay.
amazing because we can do what we want
On your own timeline too.
on our timeline, and we can stay true to ourselves. And that's what's so important, is to be able to keep our DNA and keep growing and being truthful. Because a lot of time, once you get an investor, everything changes. They want the packaging to change. They want the formula to change. It's a lot of work. It's hard work. It's a lot of discipline, but it's worth it.
What was that one piece that you noticed that you were doing well other than making amazing products and, like, that really resonated with your customers, that you saw that was a push that pushed your brand into the next level, whether it was getting into a specific retailer or a certain creator was talking about it or it was picked up by a certain
You know
publication?
who really helped us? Is Stephen Allen. I don't know if you remember. He had stores everywhere, and he had a home store in New York, and it was insane. It was like free marketing.
Amazing.
Every account would call us. We saw you at Stephen Allen. Right, Matt? He really.
Yeah, at one point, I think he had about around 20 doors kind of throughout the US. And he was really good at kind of the multi-assortment luxury boutique. So he had home and, he's known for kind of men's shirting. It was kind of our de facto showroom for a while. Because a lot of other luxury boutiques would go in there and and then reach out to us. So that was really a good break for us.
I think so much when I think of too, and if you're talking about building this brand from like 13, 14, 15, that's obviously an incredibly different time than 10 years forward to today. And now it's you can build a website with a couple buttons technically, right? You can go online, you can source things, there's reviews. A lot of people are getting into this direct to consumer business. We have social commerce. Now there's agentic commerce. Building a brand 10, 12 years ago was much more difficult than there is today. So how would you build or what do you think would be different if your brand started today? How would you do it differently? What is different competition? And also, I think you had more barriers to entry 15 years ago, right? So,
I think
how,
it's way harder today. I was reading an
mm,
article about it because you can get everything so fast, so quickly that you forget to build your identity and your DNA. And a lot of brands struggle with that because it's so easy to put anything out now. I wouldn't like, if I had to build something today, I think it would be the same way.
mm,
I would first build the DNA I did with the identity, the packaging, and everything. And then once it's ready and I'm sure of it, then you can use all those application tools. But it's way more difficult because there's so many now. I don't know if we launched today, if we would make it today, because um, everything's online, the competition, now there's the newness. Everyone wants something new every 5 minutes. It's such a different market. I think it's way more difficult now.
it's a really
It's
interesting point.
way easier technically with the technology, but I
And so
mean,
I think that's a good point is that it's easier than ever to start a brand, but it's harder than ever to scale and really reach that success, whatever success means to you, whether it's building a life of freedom and picking your kids up at school at 3 o'clock or reaching, a certain financial goal every single year. When I look at this and scaling a business to today, there's a lot of it that comes in with resiliency, a huge topic that I love to focus on this is where have you faced a moment of it's a roller coaster in the career within the brand and like how do you push past that and have that resiliency to keep going especially in today there's so much competition and there's so much noise so how do you as entrepreneurs kind of face that resiliency or have that or embody resiliency and keep going.
I'm a firm believer in discipline. And if you keep working hard, if you're true to yourself and you build a really good brand, even when it's difficult, you just have to get up in the morning and keep going. And there's times where Matt was, I remember it was 1 year in January, things were going down. Look, you just keep doing what you're doing. It's bumps. There's bumps not even with work. There's bumps in being a mother, like raising a child with your family, with your siblings. It's that for everything. It's not only business. So you just have to. I remember my grandmother used to tell me, whatever happens, Marie, the morning you get up and you put your chin up. And I
Nice.
think it's good. Well, sometimes it's not easy. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, it is certainly more competitive, especially in kind of the fragrance world. Kind of when we started the brand was a bit quieter. Fragrance was kind of a slower moving of compared to color and skincare. Fragrance is really having a moment, especially in the US, kind of after COVID. And you just see all the players, the investment, the bigger brands jumping into fragrance. It is getting a little more daunted. It's just certain weeks, it's such a roller coaster emotionally because you feel like a genius or things are going well. And then it's like it takes one day just to completely turn that around and the sky is falling.
Yeah.
You just have to incrementally go in each day. And since we have such a strong DNA and creative vision and plan that kind of doesn't all, it moves, but we take solace in that. And I think it enables us to kind of grow steadily and slowly. Built this over so many years now. We have such a strong organic following that, as long as we kind of, our plan is, we'll be okay. And, we haven't kind of grown too fast. And it's funny because you're constrained, being an independent company with no investment. You can't just go out and do everything all at once. But it kind of is helpful in a way because it kind of protects you from yourself sometimes.
Mhm.
Because certain brands, if we had a huge war chest, maybe we would be jumping after things a little quicker and faster, but it would be more dangerous. So, you know, it's it's a unique path we've taken, and it is interesting. We launched 10 years ago, but this is the only way we kind of know how to do it,
I mean, I'm
is our
glad
way.
glad you brought that up too, because a lot of times, I used to interview a bunch of other entrepreneurs or investors or executives, and a lot of people said the biggest thing blocking them is, yes, what people think of them, and what if their business fails? And I always remind people, I'm like, Bill Gates' first business failed, and he's not crying over it anymore. And it's a lot of people will say, I don't have the money. Like, how am I going to get it? I don't have an investor coming in. I don't have the funds to do it. And other people have built businesses on their own. They've self funded. And yes, it's going to be harder. And you might not be able to get that Times Square billboard right away, or you're not going to be able to run that insane paid media buy on TikTok that's going to get you in front of everyone in your target market. However, Marie, like you said, you're able to build that brand, and that brand is going to be so much stronger than a quick media buy or billboard. And not like you said, it's this roller coaster. And if you keep going at it, you're going to continue to maybe not have that war chest with everything that money can bring, but instead you're going to slow and steadily win the race, and it's going to be better over time. And it
Yeah,
also,
I always say, well, the rabbit and the turtle. Well,
yes,
the turtle, we slow but steady.
wins the race. And
Well,
something
I
too,
don't
I
know
think,
about the race, but
well, then, or it's maybe the race or the game, whatever we want to call the world of business. What I think of with your brand too is the natural, the clean, the non-toxic part, as well as the sustainability. And right now, it's definitely on a lot of people's minds, but 10 years ago, it was not. And I think now we're all learning what fragrance can do to us, especially if you're lighting a candle that's harmful and has sulfates in it, and we're locked inside and you're breathing it in, or if it's a fragrance you wear every single day. So talk more about taking this natural, non-toxic, clean approach to fragrance. And you were definitely ahead of your time, especially here in the US when so much used to be incredibly toxic and still is for us.
It's kind of table stakes. Even 10 years ago, I mean, when you went into formulating your products, that you were way more conscious of ingredients. It's funny because when Marie launched the brand, it was positioned as a luxury fragrance brand with this unique DNA, and she had a really cool voice. And but when Sephora came to us, I think it was like 2015, 2016, when they were vetting our brand, they kind of came back to us, and it was right at the beginning of their Clean at Sephora. They were saying, "Oh, your formulations are super clean, and we would love to launch you in this new area with a bunch of other small and up and coming brands." And it really kind of helped position us as a clean brand because we it was important to us, but we didn't need to promote it at the time. But then through this thing, it really built awareness of our brand being clean, and then eventually getting into a lot of sustainability stuff. So yeah, but it definitely, now going into kind of developing new products, and especially in our skincare, it plays a huge role in kind of how we kind of develop like everything. So yeah, it's super important to us.
If you were talking to a young entrepreneur today who came up to you and said, I'm looking to start a consumer business, build a brand, what advice would you give to them and why?
I would tell it if they want to build a brand, like they need to go with the heart and what they want to make. Like it's being an artist in some ways. Like you need to create something you really believe in, and not just to make money. You know what I mean? Like something who's like deep and you believe in it, and then you just go for it full speed, and you work really hard. I worked 4 years non-stop. I barely saw any friends, I remember. But if you're passionate about what you do, that's also a big part of what you need to have. It's not even that hard. I really sometimes miss those times because
Mm.
it was really amazing and fun. So yeah, just to be passionate and go from the heart. But I know maybe Matt has something different to say. I don't know.
No, I mean, that's completely true. And I think too, starting out, you shouldn't kind of have expectations on where you should be because inevitably it's not going to match what your expectations are. And it's going to take way longer than you think it will. And you're going to hear no, and you're going to deal with so many problems for so long. And if you can just kind of get through that and you have that base of just, products that you created from your heart and they'll have a reason for being and people will eventually find you and it'll work. Takes a long time.
Hmm.
Yeah, and when you look, you have a problem, you look for the solution.
I think
That's
that's
so important. Instead of getting upset about a problem, no, you go direct. What's the solution? How can I make it work?
something that I keep hearing lately is what people are saying is a bounce back rate. So it's kind of with the idea of life isn't about the cards you're dealt, it's how you play the cards, very much in a poker mentality. But with this, I keep on thinking like if you both were saying when you wake up and you have to face challenges and you have these highs and your lows, as an entrepreneur, it is about problem solving. It's looking at problems as fun challenges. Like Marie, I think that really struck a chord what you said is that it's not difficult. It's really about just pushing through. And Matt, you really leaned into this as well. It's that consistency and making it happen, but it's that passion and that dedication and that drive. When I think of bounce back rate, there's also this methodology of curiosity and to ever evolve your brand. So in today's world of more and more competition coming in, we have AI, there's good and there's bad of what it's doing for brands, as well as consumer shopping. What is next in terms of staying curious, building, evolving? What are your thoughts on that?
We're in a really cool situation, I think, where as our brand grows, we're able to kind of work with agencies and people that are really helping us evolve the brand. And we're able to do more and more. I think it was 2 years ago, we finally added PR agencies. The scale, like creatively, of what we're doing is really exciting right now for us. Email marketing and paid ads, how we create our assets, like it's evolving so much for us. And it's, our brand DNA is starting to come out better and better. We've been working on a new website for the last year, which is about to launch. And it's really amazing it's year 12 to see everything kind of start to come into place. But the road to get there has been so interesting. We're relatively small still. So, I mean, that there's so much optimism on where it can go. And we opened up our first store last year, which is an amazing milestone for us. And it's like we're finally kind of in a position to kind of do all these things that we dreamed of, but it took all of this time to get here.
Building that
But
foundation.
when you work hard and you get a reward, it feels even better. You really enjoy the little things that we thought we could never get. But when we get them, we're so excited, so happy. And I think it's a good lesson for life. If you get things too fast, too quick, you don't want them anymore. But when you work hard to get them, you're so excited and so happy. So
Mhm.
it's good, like to. I'm really happy. I don't think I'd have it any other way.
It's almost a sustainable happiness where it's not just if I get this one thing, I'll be happy, and then you're not happy the next day because there's something else you want. It's this journey of being an entrepreneur and it's constantly building and problem solving. And I think that really keeps people going and pulsing. So on that note, if there's one thing you could both tell your younger self before we get into our final question, what would it be? And what would you do differently? How would you look at mistakes as good opportunities or lessons learned?
I wouldn't do anything differently. No.
I would always tell my younger self that like everything is going to be okay. Especially when you kind of go out on your own or even in any job or any endeavor in life, it's at that moment, it just seems there's so many questions and will it all turn out okay? Being alive, there's always so much fear that comes with it. And but then, you kind of look back now, and it's working out.
Yeah, because when you think about it, I came in 2006 with nothing to the US by myself. I had no friends. And look what we were able to achieve. It's amazing when you think about it. It really is.
And I think that's your determination, and you had a vision too of trust the process and, dive into this journey, and it will all work out if you keep at it and you keep building and you stay curious.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah.
Good. Well, on our final question, it's my favorite question. We always ask it at the end of every episode. It comes from a Mel Robbins podcast, and it says, or asks, where do you sit in the stands in your life? And what it means is, imagine there's two parts to this, whether it's art and culture or sports. Is one, maybe you're at a basketball game or a football game, and you're saying, why did he run down the sidelines that way? Why did she pass the ball to her? Or maybe you're at the theater and you're saying, why did she deliver the monologue that way? Or why did she wear that costume on the stage? And it's as if you're either in the stands and yelling at the game, or you're at the behind a TV and you're yelling at it and they can't hear you. And so many times in our own lives, we're sitting in the stands, and where it comes down to be interpreted as is, what are we looking forward to the most? What are we going to stop doing? What are we going to start doing? Everyone's always had a really different answer. So where do both of you sit in the stands in your life? And you can choose any way of how to interpret it. But most of it is, what is to come? What are you looking forward to? And what is something you've always thought to do, but you haven't done yet? It could honestly be those iPhone notes. Maybe it's the Post-it note on the mirror. And what is to come?
That's a very deep question.
I don't really understand the question. Sorry.
I'm not a huge sports person, but definitely growing up in a sports household, I would always watch my siblings like, scream at the TV, and they're like, why did you run down the sidelines that way? And I remind, they can't hear you. The football player cannot hear you. And then I'm on the flip side. I'm putting Post-it notes in my car, on my bathroom mirror. I'm constantly walking and writing iPhone notes. And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna get this done tonight, or I'm gonna have this completed by the end of the year. And
Yeah.
whether it's 2 weeks and I haven't completed it, or two plus, now it's been decades, I feel like, since I've wanted to quote accomplish things. I thought of this question, and what I love about it, especially asking entrepreneurs, is we sit in the stands so much in our life because we say we're going to do something or stop doing something. We're almost yelling at ourselves, and we can't even hear our own visions come to life because of something that's blocking us.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Not to have a phone. I feel so good when I don't have a phone for it. If I lose my phone or I don't have it for a couple of hours, you feel so good. What I would like to do more is try to be less judgmental and take people where they are at. I'm getting better with time, but I really, because we're all so different and we live differently, I just want to be able to do that more. Does it
That's
Yeah,
perfect.
that's good. Yeah, because we watch so much, I'm in social media and kind of business trades, and I consume so much of it because it's addicting and it's necessary because, you run a business and have to be aware of everything that's going on and not worrying about a lot of what other people are doing because, it can be crazy making in a way. And, like going back to like telling someone that, everything will be okay. Like it really like it clouds your judgment, and like, you just have to follow like your own pursuits without worrying about what others think.
I think now more than ever, it's so important to have that personal sense of style, whether it's how you dress or what fragrance you wear, how you style your house. I think there's so many things that we see trends and then everyone looks the same, right? From whether it's plastic surgery to what shirts people wear. So I think that's an amazing point. And I think you guys definitely strike that so well by having a brand with such a solid brand identity and having that as a foundation to continuously grow on. First of all, thank you so much for joining the So Sloane podcast, Marie and Matt. And where can everyone find Maison Louis Marie? I definitely need to work on my French. I'm 20% French, and my French ancestors would be rolling around if they heard my French. Where can everyone find candles, fragrances, lotions, and more?
Our website, maisonlouismarie.com. We have wonderful retail partners, Sephora, Credo, Blue Mercury, Bergdorf Goodman, Anthropology, and our store in Culver City at Platform, where we have our whole assortment.
Great spot. Well, thank you
Yes.
so much. Well, I've been a huge fan of the brand for so many years, and so many of my friends have too. So it's such a full circle moment actually to sit here now and chat with you. So thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to come out here, and we're continuing to root for the brand's growth. And thank you so much. It's been great to chat with both of you and
Thank you.
hear your.
Thank you for
Yeah, I
having
enjoyed
us.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.